800-941-SEAN is a number. And anyway, so we're going through this video proof. Andrew Breitbart, the NAACP Awards Racism 2010. And so in light of the attack against the Tea Party movement last week, I thought it'd be interesting. Now that I saw this video, we'll show you on Hannity tonight on the Fox News channel. This was the NAACP Freedom Fund banquet. Shirley Sherrod describes how she racially discriminates against a white farmer, and she described how she's torn over how much she will choose to help him, and she admits she doesn't do everything she can for him because, well, he's white. Here's the tape.
You know, the first time I was faced with having to help a white farmer save his farm, he took a long time talking, but he was trying to show me he was superior to me. I knew what he was doing, but he had to come to me for help. What he didn't know while he was taking all that time trying to show me he was superior to me was I was trying to decide just how much help I was going to give him. I was struggling with the fact that so many black people have lost their farmland, and here I was faced with having to help a white person save their land. So I didn't give him the full force of what I could do.
All right, and then she goes on to say that, you know, she decided that she'd get him help from one of his own kind and refers him to a white lawyer. And this is a federal appointee who oversees over $1 billion of federal funds. And it sounds like she's begging African-American men and women to take government jobs at the USDA because they won't get fired. And we have two people to comment on this. Andrew Breitbart, who came up with the video at Breitbart.com, and Herman Cain is my fellow talk radio friend at WSB, News Talk 750 WSB in Atlanta. And anyway, he was the president and CEO of Godfather Pizza. By the way, and I went to a Godfather Pizza when I was in Omaha where it was founded. How are you, Herman Cain?
I'm fine, Sean. Thank you. You must have had a good pizza because it was probably when I was there.
Honestly, it was. I was just there recently. It was terrific.
Good. They still do a great job.
Even without you, believe it or not.
That's a sign of good leadership when they can still keep it going great even after you leave.
It was awesome. It really was. And Andrew Breitbart, why don't you give us the background on this audio tape, but now a videotape that we're going to air tonight on Hannity. But why don't you tell us about Shirley Sherrod?
Well, Shirley Sherrod was speaking in March to a Freedom Award dinner that the NAACP was putting on, and I believe it was a mostly black audience, so I think she felt very comfortable to speak quite openly. And what she's talking about on this at this as a position of a federal appointee. She's oversees over $1 billion worth of money that's allocated from the federal government, and she's in charge of hiring. She's in charge of stimulus money. And she's talking to this audience about how, in her new position, she had to help a white farmer, and how, because of his race, she had a difficult time trying to deal with him, but then saw that this man had a problem because he was poor, and so she finally sent him on to one of his own kind, a white lawyer.
Now, what's significant about this is in light of the NAACP's attack against the Tea Party movement last week, Herman.
Yes. You know, that is reverse discrimination. It is a reverse discrimination attitude, and it is also a reverse discrimination practice. The accusation on the part of the NAACP last week was ridiculous. It was baseless, and it was unfounded. Andrew has even issued a very lucrative $100,000 award for anybody who come up with any type of proof. And the reason that I believe that the NAACP did this is for two reasons. Number one, they lack relevance. They used to be impactful in this country, and they did help this country and help black people back in the 50s and the 60s during that particular period of time. Ever since then, they've been looking for relevance, but they're looking for relevance in all of the wrong places. It's called race. The second reason that they did it was to be a distraction from the failed policies of the Obama administration, the failed effect of the stimulus bill, as well as a distraction from a lot of the more serious issues that we ought to be talking about.
Well, I think this is significant because this is what I was pointing out at the beginning of the program, Herman. And Andrew, I don't know if you had a chance to listen. You said you were in your car. But what's important about this is, all right, so the NAACP is now attacking Republicans and the Tea Party movement in particular as a racist group. I would argue to energize portions of the base of the Democratic Party.
Sean, there is a context to this, and without context, this just becomes racial infighting and fighting amongst Americans in a hot summer in which black and white are suffering from under this president's and the Democratic Party's bad economic practices.
Right.
I would rather not be discussing this issue, but the NAACP, the Congressional Black Caucus, and its irresponsible accusation and what I believe is to be a provable lie that the N-word was said at the Cannon House steps the day before the vote on health care reform was done. This was all done as a strategy to marginalize this growing juggernaut that was the Tea Party. It doesn't just act as an impediment to the Democratic Party. What the Tea Party is doing, as Herman Cain is a perfect example of, is that the Tea Party is introducing to America a new series of black leadership. David Webb, Herman Cain. We can go up and down the line. Niger Innis. We can go up and down the line of blacks who the NAACP and the Democratic establishment have been calling Uncle Toms for years, for talking about independence, free markets, etc., have been called Uncle Toms. What the left in the NAACP is afraid of is its 90% grip on the black electorate. If that goes to 80% because their economic peril is seen as a direct result of bad economic policies of the Democratic Party is toast. And I believe they crafted a summer-long campaign to try and tar and brand the Tea Party movement and conservatives as being racist, and I believe it's an evil, evil strategy.
Those are strong words. In the context, though, of the election, I think one of the worst things, Herman, you could say about somebody is that they are racist or they're part of a movement that is racist. Well, we have seen the strategy used by the Democrats a lot of times. I've often played on this program, the 98 Missouri Democratic Party radio ad. Right. If you elect Republicans, black churches are going to burn. The NAACP ad, the James Byrd ad in 2000. It seems predictable, though, in every single election cycle that you're going to see the Democrats play the race card. And over the weekend, we had the president out there now playing the class warfare card. All of these strategies, if you can't run on your record, it seems like, and whenever you can't run on your record, that seems to be the fallback strategy of the Democratic Party. Will it be effective?
It will not be effective. This is always a sign, Sean, that it's a sign of desperation. All of the other cases that you mentioned, they are desperate. They don't have the results on their side. They don't have the facts on their side, so they resort to name-calling. Here's the reason it won't be effective, in my humble opinion. There are more blacks that are connecting the dots and who are waking up and who get it. This is what they are afraid of. The whole racial accusation is an attempt to try and intimidate a lot of blacks into not going to Tea Parties because they haven't seen a lot of them there. They don't go to a lot of Tea Parties because it's just not convenient or they are working. They don't own a lot of businesses where they could be there. This is to intimidate blacks and to brand the Tea Party as a racist organization in order to try, as Andrew said, to minimize their impact. But they cannot stop this juggernaut. They've been looking for a head to chop off, and they couldn't find one. So they couldn't find a head to chop off. Now they said, let's brand the whole Tea Party movement, and that's going to backfire.
Andrew, we'll give you the final word here. I know you got to race off to the airport, but do you think this will have any impact on the election?
Oh, I do. I think it's going to start waking up a lot of people, and my hope is that a lot of black people out there listen to us, that the last thing on my mind is racism. I want this country to heal. The one promise of the Obama presidency was that it would be post-racial. It's been the most racial presidency. There is a secondary video that comes with this that isn't about racism, but should reinforce why the Tea Party is relevant. She tells the audience with a knowing grin that you can't get fired from government jobs. Come to me, I'll get you a job. You can't get fired. That's the problem. That's why the Tea Party was created, because the lack of accountability, and that the Obama wants to create the United States of the DMV, and that's what the Tea Party wants to stop.
All right, Herman Cain, weeknights on News Talk 750 WSB, Breitbart.com, BigGovernment.com. Andrew, always a pleasure to have you. And Herman, it's always a pleasure to have you.